Without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you distinguished Professor John Pomeroy, who's the Director of the Global Water Futures Program and Director of the Center for Hydrology at the University of Saskatchewan. And he's going to get this event started for us. John, it's over to you.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Stacy, and thanks for getting this launched and going. I have a great pleasure this morning to introduce the Chancellor, in fact, the 18th Chancellor of the University of Saskatchewan, Grit McCreath. Madam Chancellor has a substantial background in education through the school systems and high schools, and both in teaching and in administration, and a lifetime of public service, including helping to develop the arts community across Canada. She is a member of the Saskatchewan Order of Merit and brings us greetings as a very warm Saskatchewan greeting for everyone. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to you, Madam Chancellor. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am so delighted to open the USask Global Water Futures Virtual Water Gallery today. I also bring you greetings on behalf of our university president, Peter Stoichev. I cannot tell you how proud we are of Dr. Pomeroy and the Global Water Futures. It is a flagship program at the University of Saskatchewan. Very recently, in the most influential international university rankings, the University of Saskatchewan was rated first in Canada and 20th in the world for water resources research. Another newsworthy item was a BBC documentary about Greta Thunberg featuring Dr. Pomeroy taking her to a glacier in the Rockies. This is further testament of the recognition of our USask water leaders. The University of Saskatchewan mission states, "Our university advances the aspirations of the people of Saskatchewan and beyond through interdisciplinary and collaborative approaches to discovering, teaching, sharing, integrating, preserving, and applying knowledge, including the creative arts." We are unique among U15 institutions to include such a statement. Visual arts are important. We have a memorandum of understanding between USask and Ramey Modern, a world-class gallery situated here in Saskatoon. Therefore, the launch of the Virtual Water Gallery is a perfect example of transdisciplinary work. I want to acknowledge Louise Arnell, Stacy Dumansky, Martin Clark, and John Pomeroy, the co-curators, for their vision of a scientific, innovative initiative emphasizing the creative arts. We value art and the ability of artists to connect with people's concerns and aspirations, and to the special role of artists and scientists working together, collaborating to bring the university to the community. I have served on the board of a Canadian jewel for 10 years, the White Museum of the Canadian Rockies, located in Banff, Canada's first national park. In 2015 and 2016, Anne Ewan, the museum's chief curator, art and heritage, hosted 2 environmentally focused exhibits. Anne is looking forward to fall 2022, when Cold Regions Warning will open, including works from this project. Today's launch of the Virtual Water Gallery features artworks created in conversations between artists, water experts, knowledge keepers, and the public to explore water challenges. Congratulations on an incredible initiative.
Well, thank you so much for that warm welcome, Madam Chancellor. I'll talk a bit about Global Water Futures. The University of Saskatchewan leads GWF in a partnership with the universities of Waterloo, McMaster, and Wilfrid Laurier. But we also have 14 other universities across the country and hundreds of partners and collaborators in our research. We're funded by a $77.8 million grant from the Canada First Research Excellence Fund, which allows us to do many things. And with further support from our many partners, we've been able to expand the budget to 300 million. So it's this art is then part of that. The overarching goal of Global Water Futures is to deliver risk management solutions informed by leading edge water science and supported by innovative decision-making tools. This is to help us manage water futures in Canada and other cold regions where global warming is changing landscapes, ecosystems, and the water environment. And the art we'll see today illustrates that so beautifully and shockingly in many cases. We aim to position Canada as a global leader in water science for cold regions and address the strategic needs of the Canadian economy whilst adapting to change and managing risks of uncertain water futures and extreme events. We use knowledge mobilization and end user engagement, such as through art that we're seeing today, as a critical way to drive change in how we value and manage our water resources. Since the program started in 2016, we have grown to 64 projects and core teams at 18 Canadian universities, funding 189 faculty at those universities across the country, who have brought in almost 500 partners, have published over 750 publications, have presented over 1,850 presentations, and have brought in almost 1,000 researchers as students, postdoctoral fellows, research associates, technicians, and others. It is truly the Manhattan Project for water and climate in Canada. We tie into global programs such as the UNESCO's International Hydrological Program, the World Meteorological Organization, and the World Climate Research Program and Future Earth. So we strongly support the UN system. The research occurs at 60 observatories, many of which you'll see reflected in the art here today. We know water is life, and so water-related challenges such as droughts, floods, and water quality degradation affect everyone. We need our lakes, our rivers, our wetlands to survive, and our whole culture is based around this. Our economy is based around this. Our ecosystem is based around this. How we conceptualize water-related environmental and social problems in new ways can lead to new and more comprehensive solutions for the coupled water and climate crisis, which despite our present pandemic is still the primary crisis of our civilization in this age. In 2019, Global Water Futures developed its first art science project, which we called Transitions. And this is done as a collaboration with artist Gennady Ivanov of Norwich Studio Art Gallery and Professor Trevor Davies of the University of East Anglia in Norwich, England. Gennady became the GWF artist in residence, and the Transitions team of Davies and Ivanov visited Global Water Futures research sites amongst those 60 observatories from Ontario to the Yukon, from the glaciers of the Rockies to the dry prairie and to the frozen Arctic Ocean. It was quite an expedition, quite an adventure, and Gennady's ability to sketch outdoors in inclement conditions were remarkable. You don't get much time up on the St. Elias icefield to produce art, and he was able to do it within minutes, which the -18 temperature certainly probably accelerated. He's produced since then hundreds of sketches, paintings, and videos from this project, which have been displayed in Norwich, Canmore, and London. The pandemic, however, created exceptional challenges to both the art and scientific communities and has forced us to look at new ways to work and to work together. As the pandemic began, Global Water Futures was fortunate enough to hire Dr. Louise Arnau, who joined us from the European Centre for Medium Range Weather Forecasting and is an accomplished developer of flood forecast systems herself. She's a postdoctoral fellow in Canmore under the direction of Martin Clark. She's also an accomplished artist from a family of artists. So that's a scientist artist in one person. Louise envisioned a way to rise to the challenge of the pandemic and to substantially expand the science art interface through the Virtual Water Gallery, a science and art project which is now funded by Global Water Futures. The Virtual Water Gallery aims to provide a safe, inclusive, and collaborative space for fully open discussions between scientists, artists, and the wider public to allow them to explore past, present, and future water challenges. Along with the co-curators, Professor Martin Clark, Stacy Dumansky, who you met, and myself, Dr. Arnell has brought together a talented group of artists and scientists to address the major water sustainability issues of our age by finding global solutions to these issues as expressed through art. So Louise, we'll pack it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, John. And thank you, Chancellor Mike Creeth, as well, for this excellent introduction and for your support in the sciences and the arts. Thank you, John, for your important role in redefining the boundaries between the sciences and the arts in global water futures. I really couldn't have wished for a better context for this project to flourish in. So as John nicely introduced already, some of the context behind the creation of the Virtual Water Gallery. Water is life, and water-related challenges affect everyone. And so we believe that sharing water perspectives across communities of artists, of water experts, indigenous peoples, and many others, it can help find creative solutions to these water challenges that we all face. Art is a very powerful tool. It can add an emotional dimension to sometimes cold scientific facts. And it's not a coincidence that people say a picture is worth 1,000 words. The pandemic has highlighted the value of human connections, and we wanted to create an online space to foster human connections during times of social distancing. The Virtual Water Gallery is an online space, science and art space, that brings together artists, water experts, and the public to collectively reflect on the water challenges that we all face. It was launched in the summer of 2020 and is funded by Global Water Futures, introduced by John. As part of the Virtual Water Gallery, 7 collaborative projects are showcasing water across various Canadian ecoregions, river basins, and their communities. This includes the Arctic, the mountains, boreal forests, prairies, and farmlands. I've had the pleasure to see this project evolve from a tiny idea in my mind to a project with inspiring national and international collaborations. The human connections made during this project have been a key element of the project. And I am so thankful to have shared this virtual journey with such inspiring, creative, and kind people. The project is curated by Stacy Dumansky, John Pomeroy, Martin Clark, and myself, all from the University of Saskatchewan. I would also like to thank the excellent communications team. Without them, this gallery wouldn't exist online for you to enjoy and interact with from all over the world. And finally, I'm excited to introduce the 25 artists and water experts who all contributed to give a life to this gallery. I've admired their willingness to be taken out of their comfort zones. So I would now like to give the artists and water experts the opportunity to share with you some of the stories and beautiful visuals behind their collaborations. First up, we have Ken Van Ries, who is going to present a project with many collaborators called Summit to Sea.
Thank you very much, Louise. I'm a part of the group called the Men Who Paint, and we are a plein air painting group based out of Saskatoon. And the other members of our group are Cam Forrester, Paul Trottier, Roger Trottier, and Greg Hargarten. And we're really excited to be a part of this opportunity to depict water through visual arts. And when we were invited last year to be a part of this project, we started thinking and reflecting a little bit about water and how it plays a role in our painting. And we began to realize that water is an important part of what we're doing in terms of our landscape painting. And we also realized that our group actually was formed while in a boat floating on Emma Lake at the Kenderdine campus. So we have this real strong connection with water. So we were really excited to be a part of this and to kind of merge this idea of science and art together. And so in our collaborations with our scientists, which is the next slide, Louise, We're really appreciative of the time that we had with these scientists, John Pomeroy and Martin Clark over at the Coldwater Lab in Canmore, as well as Chris Spence and Colin Whitworth and Jared Wolf, who are based here with the Global Waters Futures in Saskatoon. And so we've had a lot of wonderful discussions with these artists, or with these scientists, I mean, in terms of understanding their research projects and the impact that it has related to water. Next slide. And so our project is entitled Summit to Sea, and we wanted to take a bigger outlook in terms of the impact of water. And we wanted to have a look at not only where it starts, but where it ends. And so this idea of Summit to Sea. And the parallel to all of this is the idea that how important water is to the planet, but also how our own blood within our bodies is an important part of us functioning as human beings. And so we wanted to draw these parallels together, and hence the idea of water as our lifeblood. I want to talk just about a couple of the paintings, one from each of the artists. On the upper left-hand corner is a painting by Greg Hargarden called Transfusion Donor. And this is an aerial view, an abstract view of a glacier that's woven with human features, depicting the idea of the meltwater nourishing the landscape, as well as blood flowing through our arteries that help us as human beings to survive as well. In the upper right-hand corner is a painting by Roger Trottier, and it's entitled Wetland Ripples. And these wetlands are an important part of the landscape for Roger. And this idea of ripples and how water, it creates a ripple and it grows larger and larger, and just the impact that water can have across the landscape. The bottom painting is by Cam Forrester, and it's entitled Vanishing Wetlands. And it's a contrast between land management uses here across the prairies. On the right-hand side, or on the left-hand side, is the natural wetlands, which are a common feature here in this prairie pothole region, which Saskatoon sits on. And on the right-hand side of the painting is drained agricultural lands. So Cam, in his discussions with the scientists, was trying to contrast these two land uses. And you can tell from the colors in the water, the impacts that these land management uses will have. And on the last slide, we have the last two paintings. The upper painting is by Paul Trottier, and it's called Waterline. And it's, again, a depiction of drainage of landscapes. If you look at the left-hand side of the painting, it's painted in richer colors, more chroma, depicting our wetlands with vegetation and deep rooting systems. And as you move to the right-hand side of the painting, you have duller colors representing the drainage of land, less vegetation growth, and more impact on stream flow. And the bottom painting is by myself. It's called Hope, and it's based on our trip to the Columbia ice fields last fall, with the avens that were seeding out and the Columbia ice field in the background. But I painted this painting with the optimism that the glaciers will continue to exist and provide water for the mountain landscapes as it rolls through the prairies and across the boreal forest and into the Hudson Bay, which is the sea. And so that's kind of an encapsulation of our project. And again, a great thank you to the Global Waters Futures for allowing us to be part of this venture. And we hope that you enjoy the gallery with all the artists' work.
Thank you so much, Ken, for this beautiful presentation. And I'm sure people will love going to the website to see more. Next up, we have the project When Water is Braided, a beautifully collaborative project between which will be presented here by Laura Pryor and Patrick Chichu.
Thank you, Louise. Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Pryor, and I work with Four Rivers Environmental Services Group with Matawa First Nations Management. Matawa is a tribal council for 9 member First Nations in Northern Ontario, 5 of which are accessible only by air and winter road, while the other 4 are accessible by all season roads. The over 300,000 square kilometers of watersheds associated with the Matawa member First Nation homelands form an integral part of their culture and heritage and are directly linked to their sustained health and long-term sustainability. Our virtual water gallery team took a co-led approach to this art project. Four Rivers was pleased to reach out to Matawa member artist Patrick Chichu to help root the piece in Matawa values. Patrick was asked to create the first layer of the painting, which he titled Water is Life, which is to represent the Indigenous perspective. Next, our project partner artist, Rebecca Ravola, was asked to work on the second layer, so visually adding the Western science perspective where it best fit. This layered approach was chosen to signify how Indigenous peoples' values and vision can be incorporated effectively into regional frameworks. The painting was passed back and forth between the artists while maintaining conversations with the larger project team throughout. The artists chose to create a second piece of art, which speaks to the keenness to work together. Respect, communication, and willingness to learn were integral in the process, and this art project was therefore a success. So I'd like to pass it over to Patrick Chichu to introduce himself and share his perspective on the art, its meaning, and this process. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. First thing I'd like to say is hello to everyone. Patrick Chichu, Dijinakazu, Constance Lake First Nation, Nadunji. I wanted to position myself. I think it's important in the grand scheme for, give you a perspective from where I'm coming from. I'm Mushum to 2 grandchildren, father to 5 adult children. While I am first and foremost an artist, I'm also a photographer, comedian, and I also work with First Nation communities and organizations on governance and management development. I also wanted to position myself within the term Indigenous. Indigenous is an umbrella, wide encompassing term, and within that, I speak from a First Nations perspective. And so that First Nations versus Métis or Inuit perspective. But even within that, I speak specifically from a Moose Sippi Cree, which is part of the Mushkegowuk in the James Bay lowland area. And I also speak from, I'm only one generation from my family on both my mom's side and my dad's side that used all the rivers from Hudson's Bay, James Bay, down into where I am now in Constance Lake First Nation. And they would travel back and forth annually and live off the land. And so I'm only, and these are, I have uncles and other one generation away that were actually born out on the land. So I would also like to thank Matawa First Nations Four Rivers Environmental Services Group for the invitation. I want to thank Four Rivers specifically over the years. They've been very supportive of my passion for art and painting. They've also done a lot of work in working with the 9-member First Nations on cataloging and mapping, for lack of a better word, traditional knowledge, which is extremely important, when we're talking about water futures. I also would like to just state that their invitation, I was enthusiastic about accepting the invitation to participate because I know the work that they've done over the years and working with the communities, and but I also wanted to be able to kind of just highlight the fact that when it comes to balancing Western science and Indigenous knowledge, that there is a balance there, and that the two can work together. And part of the messaging there is seen within our painting, that my work is intermingled with Rebecca's, and seamlessly, I might say. But also, when as you're going through and thinking about the water futures, I would like to say that globally there's an Indigenous knowledge base that's extremely important in this whole process. And when you're listening to elders speak, Indigenous elders, or in the case of our region, the Anishinaabe Nation have a water commissioner, and her name is Autumn Pelche, and she's been a water warrior since she's been 12, 13 years old, and addressed the United Nations and such. And when you hear these teachings from these water knowledge keepers, water warriors, that keep a perspective that there's a lot to learn from the indigenous cultures globally. As far as the painting, I just wanted to first of all thank Rebecca. It was and is a pleasure working with her on these pieces. The second piece is in progress, and I hope to have that up and on the virtual water gallery soon. But when I did get the invitation to participate, two things came to mind. Is the first thing when I think about water is, and I try to portray this in the painting, is that everything is united and connected by water. Everything from plant life to little creatures to insects, fish, and up the chain, I guess you could say. And that's what I tried to portray in that circular, imagery that you see in the painting, and how everything's connected. And then the second part is I wanted to pay tribute to the Water Commissioner for Anishinaabe Nation, Autumn Pelche. Like I said, she's been doing so much for water protection and water teachings. I also would like to acknowledge that I have 4 flowers, and when I paint, a lot of times I do add what I call Gookum's flowers, and they're a tribute to my late grandmother, who over the years from childhood to adulthood taught me as much as she could about the importance of every living thing, like medicines and small creatures, and even like the trees. To this day, for example, a lot of people might take it for granted that they're just going to go and then they might chop a tree. And for me, just the act of chopping a tree is a wrong thing to do. And so much so that I have a hard time even chopping a little willow so I can have a hot dog stick. So those are a lot of teachings that I got from my grandmother, and I thought it would be important to include that in the painting. But the final thing I'd like to say is that the 4 flowers also represent medicine wheel teachings, and from there I was trying to highlight that this water protection and water futures is a global issue, and everyone from every country, every region throughout Mother Earth has to work together to ensure we have clean lands and waters for generations to come. So with that, I thank Laura, I thank Rebecca, and 4 Rivers, and the Global Water Futures for allowing me to participate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laura and Patrick, for such a beautiful co-presentation. Up next, we have Bob Haverlock, who will be talking about the Damaged Shoreline Music Project.
Start video.
We can see you and hear you fine, Bob.
Oh, you can. Okay. That's sorry. Greetings. I greet you as a guest on the banks of the Red and the Assiniboine rivers, which is the homeland of the Cree, Saulteaux, and Anishinaabe, and homeland of the Métis Nation. Since the so-called ages of reason and romanticism until our own time, the relationship between the natural sciences, including the water sciences and the arts, are well described as hostile. As the poet E.E. Cummings whimsically put it, well, you and I have lips and voices which are for kissing and to sing with. Who cares if some one-eyed son of a bitch invents an instrument to measure spring with? But of course, there have been two-eyed sons and daughters on both sides attending to the good earth, its wonders and wounds. And these persons are not confined to one discipline or culture. And bless them, they are now more and more finding the good company of each other, bringing their different angles of seeing and doing in this our 3-alarm emergency. So hooray for the water gallery collaborations and for Trish, my partner in this project. But these conspirators, we among them, are fishes swimming against the current with its ruling currencies of capitalism, culture of bigger and more and me and mine, and my shrunken world of just a little circle of friends and family and home. Of course, such self-isolating not only undermines our compassion, our feeling with it, it subverts a wish to act for the well-being of that which is beyond me and mine. And it sabotages the very belief that people can come together to make change. If you were a self-seeking ruler, you could wish for no more convenient attitude in the citizenry than this kind of realism. In opposing such realism, so-called, but what fools we mortals be, leaving our enclaves, joining together in nourishing common vision and common cause, water scientists and artists. What clownishness for the passionate scientist Tricia to join with me in such a dance. There is a drawing from my wild berry picking series. Typically, it's image word business, and it reads, Mad Dan catches you picking on the riverbank. Talk to him, tell him the truth. Tell him you are from the circus. Tell him you have come for wild raspberries to put color on the faces of the clowns. Such is the main intent of my art, to put color on the cheeks of the clowns, negotiating an end to the war against nature, the war against the watery, animally earth. A just peace settlement is what we are all working for in our different ways, and here come together. Today, we rightly celebrate important exchanges of science, information, for artists' images portraying waters, ice, snow, soil temperatures, rivers flow, glacier melt, boreal and wetlands, going, not yet gone. But as well, there is a dancing exchange itself and the discoveries of good company. This against the push and drift towards isolation and despair. So hooray for collaborations. And I give you one of my offerings. This one is called River Music Wreck near Kiosk Hydro Dam in Manitoba. On this, I would play some music for you. Although it is a damaged instrument, I hope it make music that enables us to dance together on the earthen floor of our imaginations and beyond. The dance begins slowly with our hands touching, and a heavy-footed grief, and a quiet thrum, thrum, drum-like. Then it begins to turn with a slapping beat, higher, stepping feet. A New Orleans funeral band appears at our side. then fiddle, all the while moose skin drum and moccasin children, dancers, drawing us all forward. May it be so. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Bob, for these very inspiring words. Next, we have Ryan Brynjolfsson, who will be talking about life supports.
That I'm speaking today from Treaty 3 traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. I feel privileged to be working with Dr. Jennifer Belzer. We conceived the idea for our project of life support. Life support seemed to be a rich metaphor that leverages the immediately accessible pandemic imagery of intensive care units, ventilators, and hospital settings, and the realization that we're part of a global system and vulnerable to global events. Life support is also the land we live on, the land that supports life, the thin thread that ties us to food security, water security, and the air we breathe. Permafrost in the north is thawing, and it's thawing rapidly. As it thaws, it affects northern life support, northern food security, and water security. As forests and land cover vegetation changes, animals' behavior and ability to thrive will also change, including animals that have been traditionally hunted for food. Permafrost thaw causes runoff that releases organic matter, turning clean water into something that looks like cowboy coffee. It releases contaminants like mercury into fresh water, affecting fish stocks and drinking water. Next slide. Jen explained that as permafrost thaws, the ground sinks and becomes boggy. Trees begin to tilt, then topple over. Forests become lowland bogs. As water runs off, lakes can dry up or waterways may become connected and collect in a new basin. The whole boreal system is affected. Northern Water Futures scientists study these areas. I watched video interviews with researchers who gathered the data, and I developed a real respect for these young people who live in remote areas on the edge of mosquito-infested bogs for extended periods. One of these projects was mapping a plot of 40,000 trees on a grid to see how forests are changing over time. Researcher Catherine Dearborn was shocked by the changes she saw, discovering that many trees had been completely absorbed into the bog within a 5-year time frame. Here you can see the data, the plot grid, overlaid on the landscape in the background. Northern Water Futures also studies the effects of fire and plant regrowth and regeneration in boreal forests. Next slide, please. Because the North is warming at a rate of 2 to 3 times faster than the rest of the planet, fires are hotter, cover more territory, and burn more often. Fires burn peat moss and ground cover, blackening the ground, causing permafrost to thaw even more quickly. Fires that are enhanced by a warmer, drier climate will in turn accelerate global warming. What happens in the North does not stay in the North. It's interesting to hear scientists speaking with passion, describing the beauty of the land they're studying and using words like shocking to describe what's happening as global temperatures rise and permafrost in the North thaws. Next slide. This is an illustration for figure 3 from a scientific paper titled Permafrost Thaws Rapidly Altering Forest Community Composition by Dearborn, Wallace, Patankar, and Belzer. It's worth reflecting on what's being lost in terms of biodiversity in the boreal forest. We are conditioned to think about the forest in terms of resource or recreational use, but we should pause and also appreciate that there is inherent beauty in those boreal systems that supports an intricate, mystifying diversity of plants and creatures and fungi. If we lose biodiversity, we also lose beauty and complexity. Perhaps we should be less willing to cut those willow branches. So we hope that these conversations between artists and scientists can help us imagine scenarios more fully, utilize surprising metaphors that jolt us out of our comfort zones and outdated patterns of thinking, provide images that depict the seriousness of what the data is revealing and the heartbreaking beauty of what is being lost. Maybe they can open up new paradigms, new ways of seeing our relationship to the planet and our connectedness to the natural world. We hope you'll spend some time at the Virtual Water Gallery, and we would love to hear from you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ryan. This was beautiful. Next, we have Megan Loink, who will be talking about Arctic polarity.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Megan. I am speaking to you today from the traditional territory of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. And I feel doubly honored to be a part of this project, as I'm not only an artist, but I am also a master's student studying Arctic water resources at the University of Calgary. And so the themes that I'm painting on are also the themes that I'm studying for my thesis. The element of water has always shared a special place in my heart and in all realms of my life. Creating art featuring water, studying water, and recreating near water have always brought me a deeper joy than anything else. So the water expert that I had the pleasure of collaborating with for Arctic Polarity is Dr. Aaron Berg. He works out of the University of Guelph, studying hydrology using remote sensing methods, and has a wealth of experiences and photos and stories that he has shared with me over these last few months that have really helped surge the inspiration for this installation. So this painting that you see here is titled Permutation, and I'm illustrating important work investigated by Changing Cold Regions Network and Northern Water Futures, which Ryan eloquently just described. Both of these projects focus on assessing water security risks in regions of Northern Canada and how we can better detect these changes, as well as prepare and mitigate as best we can for the multi-generational changes to come. So this piece here shows this environmental gradient from an aerial perspective in the autumn. Something that really stood out to me when I was sifting through all of the satellite imagery, aerial photography of the Mackenzie River region in the Northwest Territories was how vibrant and bright these deep oranges and reds were, even from so far away. So I thought that this perspective was the best one to do it justice. And so on the left here, you have very pristine environments that show very healthy waters, very healthy land. And as you begin to see a reduction of snow and ice over the winter, thawing permafrost in the late summer, the soil warms and it changes compositions in the vegetation. It changes the stability of the ground. These big brown patches there are large permafrost thaw slumps where the frozen ground has thawed and the ground above it collapses, and then it will erode and load into the waters, and these waters become very murky and turbid. And from this perspective, those are the most prominent effects. But as you can see, I wrote different scales and seasons. So in the coming months, I will be creating pieces from other perspectives and other times of the year to bring to the forefront other implications of these processes. Yeah, so check back in the early summer for that. Next slide, please, Louise. So part of my brainstorming process as I was trying to figure out the composition and the palette for everything, and just as I was processing all of the information, was to create these fluid paintings, and they really helped me. I thought I would include them with the installation, and I really look forward to making more of them for the remaining pieces. So thank you for your time, and please let us know what you think.
Thank you so much, Megan. Beautiful. And we also look forward to seeing was in the gallery. Next up, we have Gennady Ivanov, who will be talking about Peto under pressure.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gennady Ivanov here. Thank you, John, for your small presentation of our transition project. And thank you, you and Trevor personally for what you have done for it. The Transitions Project is a global water futures initiative to bring together art science in a new way to express the impact of climate change. The specific subject in this virtual water gallery exhibition is Peto Glacier in the Banff National Park. I have made it 2 separate visits with scientists, and I have developed an emotional attachment to this stressed body of ice. The scientists have an attachment too, albeit different. It has long been an important subject of scientific investigation. It is one of the longest and most intensively studied glacier in the world. So, Peter diptych, please. Slide. Next one, please. Thank you. To produce this diptych, I have relied on my own field drawings and photographs, my memory, stills and videos from drones operated by Global Water Future scientists. The meltwater was flowing in runnels and torrents across and through the ice, and parts of the glacier were dramatically colored, especially by red of algae and black of cryoconite, accumulation of ash and soot from wildfires, fungi, bacteria, and as well as algae. At places at the margins of the glacier, but especially below its receding snout, and whereas deposits of yellow tinged glacial silt. Despite the vivid colors, because of the bright sunny day, the whole scene taken together, including the bare moraines and sediment beyond the snout, summoned in my mind a sense of destruction. The red hues signal scars, which I imagine represent the bleeding and screaming of this ancient, moving and ever-changing entity. Despite the vivid coloration, it represents a step closer to final death, decay, and darkness. I visualized the yellow tinges as the transformation of progressively deeper bleeding scars to the pervasive, dirty yellowish, which will be remaining ice-free depositional landscape, and which for a short time will be desert-like. It's an absence of vegetation. So next slide, please. The requiem for the Peter. This oil on canvas painting. There's two paintings. I will speak about one on the left. I enjoy surreal painting. It helps me express my emotions, something which is important to me. I know what scientists also have emotional responses to what they see and study, but in their public statements, they are careful to express themselves in objective terms. Because I'm an artist, I'm allowed to portray myself in a way which express some of my feelings. Here, I'm below the snout of the Peto Glacier, which scientific modeling shows could almost completely vanish by end of the century. Although barren, the newly emerged post-glacial depositional landscape does show tiny speaks of green. The first plants are already moving in. They are showing in my glass. Also in my glass is beige yellow glacial silt of the depositional landscape and cryoconite. At what point in the future will be blue-white ice cape behind me transformed to green? I think we will see and study it. I also audio record the sound of the glacier. The record player is in my surreal expression of this. It's also a way for me to emphasize the importance of scientists recording information. Around the turn of the century, there will be only records left. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Gennady. This was beautiful and very emotional. Next, I've had the chance to take part in the virtual water gallery as an artist and water expert, as well as a co-curator. And so Deep Time is a science and art exploration of groundwater, which I had the pleasure to collaborate on with groundwater experts Grant Ferguson and Jennifer McIntosh. It is a book that combines lino prints and watercolor illustrations with scientific stories, taking you on a scientific and artistic journey through aquifers of the Western Canada Sedimentary Basin here in Canada. A water drop spends a large part of its life below our feet. It travels through a vast network of underground corridors, or aquifers, for up to tens of thousands of years, I was told. Groundwater is an important part of everyday life, providing drinking water to 1/3 of the population of Canada. This invaluable resource is under immense pressure, such as from water contamination and freshwater depletion. Yet, the journey of water under our feet is still partly a mystery because we cannot see it with our own eyes, and measuring its movement is costly. Out of sight and out of mind is often how groundwater scientists hear groundwater described. How ironic that this hidden water is what gives life and color to living things above the ground. Rainfall that infiltrated into the ground tens of thousands of years ago is trickling down to deeper aquifers, thus the name Deep Time, and is slowly replaced by younger water. But this natural water cycle is being impacted by anthropogenic activities. Given the nature of groundwater, traveling across vast expanses of land and time, this will have repercussions on groundwater for the unforeseeable future. This highlights the important work of groundwater scientists who study the movement and composition of groundwater to help us understand its journey underground. This research is invaluable to help us protect this irreplaceable resource for the generations to come. Through regular virtual meetings with Grant and Jen, I understood little by little the unique story of each of these aquifers. The challenge then was to translate these scientific stories into clear yet poetic visuals. Grant said, graphs and maps of falling water tables and contaminated groundwater don't seem to provoke the same emotional response that dry stream beds or contaminant spills at the ground surface do. The stories that Louise has been able to tell about groundwater through her art resonate in a much different way. Louise was able to translate the science that Jennifer and I do into pieces that convey the value, wonder, and mystery of these hidden water resources. I'm a water expert myself, but my work focuses mainly on rivers, the water that we can see flow with our own eyes. Working on this piece about groundwater with Grant and Jen has been eye-opening for me. Now I think about water very differently. There is all this water under our feet that feeds into rivers and lakes and that we so easily dismiss. So I invite you to discover our full book on the virtual water gallery. And alongside these beautiful and unique science and art projects, we're also showcasing 5 external projects, which have overlapping aims and themes with the virtual water gallery projects. And I strongly invite you to discover these beautiful projects on the virtual water gallery after the launch. So unfortunately, we don't have any time for questions now, but I'd like to thank you so much for joining us for the virtual water gallery launch today. And thank you to all the artists and the water experts who presented their beautiful works today, but also those behind the scenes who didn't get to present but collaborated. I'd also like, of course, to say a big thanks to Global Water Futures for funding the project. And a special thank you, to everyone who helped run the event today behind the scenes. We have Fred Rybin, Stephanie Merrill, Ronald Fournier, Yolande Chiasson, and Monique Shore. I would also like to thank Bob Sanford for connecting me with some of these fantastic artists who I got the pleasure to know through this project. And thank you to Maria Elena Ramos for some inspirational science and art chats in the early stages of the project. So I hope that this short overview has piqued your curiosity and emotions as much as they have ours during these collaborations. And we'd like to invite you to explore the gallery in more detail afterwards and take part in the discussions via the messaging tool that you'll see at the bottom of each project's page. These messages that you can send on the gallery will go directly to the project's creators to broaden the discussions beyond these collaborations, so you can also take part more actively. Thank you again all so much for joining us from all over the world today.